प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, mind, all sensory and motor organs become strong, efficient. All is verily the one without second, absolute, all-pervading, blissful existence itself. Let me never deny this truth of intrinsic oneness. May the truth never reject me either. May all the virtues necessary to experience this truth in life be with me. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel the innermost core of our being, which is actually pure and divine. Let us feel it as a spark of brilliant light. Let us feel the light from that bright spark has filled my whole personality. I have become light. I am light. With this, I see the whole universe filled with the same, one without second, brilliant light. All the differences, separateness is merged into this ocean, infinite, of homogeneous luminosity. All separateness is gone. Gone with it is the sense of space and time. Gone are all desires. Only unspeakable, intense bliss has remained. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, today is the 41st class on this wonderful Upanishad, Svetasvatara Upanishad. And we are in the middle of the 5th chapter. So let us begin with our user. There is, Jitendra should be there. And we shall begin with the regular prayers once they start shining on the screen here. Is the clicker not working? Okay, it worked. Okay. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be protected together. May we be nourished together. May we work together. May our study make us illumined. May there be no dislike between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we were seeing this mantra, and the 8th mantra of the 5th chapter, where it is, our discussion on our true self is being taken up, that it is when we see that myself, it is inside me, it is deep inside somewhere, so naturally can't be too big. I feel it right here in my heart, so has to be small. So it is described Angushtamatra. So Angushthamatraha Ravitulya Rupaha. It is Angushtamatra means of the size of a thumb. But Ravitulya Rupaha means its splendor spreads. It is like the sun blazing. It is splendorous, that true self. And so it is big, lustrous, infinitely shining like the sun. So let us read the translation. Of the size of a thumb but brilliant like the sun, the jiva possesses both volition and egoism. It is this little I has both volition and also egoism. I, the doer, I am doing this, I have done this, I cannot do that, I will be able to do that, I want to do this. So there is the volition. We all experience these things. This is experiential, that okay, I want to do this and I don't want to do this. It is volition. It is our desire that yes, I will be doing this, I like to do this, I want to do this. And then there is egoism. I am so and so, I have done this, and so forth. I like this, I don't like this, I am such and such. This is how I am. So it is, we all have a self-image. In psychology, this idea of self-image is very well known, that we try to protect our self-image. We make a self-image, and since it is our creation, we want to protect it, that I am such and such. Even if it is not a good thing in us, we just want to protect it. Say, well, I am like that. If somebody is committing mistakes and all, hey, you have done all this, eh? Well, that is I, Swami, that is how I am. So, and one takes pride in it, that, well, I am like this. It is, so there is this ego, self-image. It is, the self-image is a very funny thing. It is detrimental to us because we do not want to go beyond it. I am like this, like something is made of wood. So it thinks I am wood, so doesn't want to go beyond the qualities of wood, because this is my nature, I am wood. So a being also feels that I am just like this, I can't change. It is, and this is created by this extrapolation. Means what happens is, suppose, and this is how the wrong self-image gets created, and then that becomes an obsession, a psychologically deep problem, that, well, I went to do something and then failed in that endeavor. It happens with everybody, I failed. But then I send a signal. This is what I am, I fail. I always fail. Maybe I failed twice, I failed thrice, and then the signal is, this is how I am, I fail always. And then just to protect this self-image, what shall I be doing, Charlie? Huh? Hey, to protect this self-image that I fail all the time, I will be failing, so that that image remains. Okay, you failed to figure that out. That's very good. You failed to figure that out. It is you failed to figure that out because you were a bit absent-minded. So it is one fails to figure it out, and then it sends the signal, I don't understand things, that is how I am. So I refuse understanding, because then that will hurt my self-image. So this is how we get caught in this vicious cycle. It has to be changed into a virtuous cycle. That is how you can transcend the bad image. Oh, well, no, you succeeded in doing this thing. You did that thing very well. Yes, and when you made effort, you were able to do things right. So this is your nature, that you can, this is your true image, that you do things right when you properly focus, properly you pay attention to things. So now your self-image becomes, yes, you do things right. And so you strive hard to do things right. So this is the ego, that and there are so many that desires, it becomes involved in everything. So although small, it spreads all over and becomes big. So, and then it is endowed with the qualities of both buddhi and atman. Now this is just a literal translation. The original this thing, as it says, buddhair gunai atma gunai cha, that the properties of one's understanding, that is like our likes, dislikes, our choices, because of that we become separate. And then Atma Gunahi means the external appearances and all that, that I am old, I am young, I am sick, I am healthy. So all these things, they keep on varying, and thus although one appears in many forms, who am I? This is this one or that one? So it is, therefore it is seen as another entity, that you separate from each other, you separate from your present and past. For example, well, I am like this, that person is not like this. Human beings are like this, dogs are different. So this is how we separate. Also the separation in terms of time. For example, as a child, I was like this. Now I am not like that. As a little child, I used to run about here and then do all sorts of mischief. But now I have become better. It is so past and present. So these things make, for the variety, that our understanding, accordingly we separate things, and thus we see this separation on the basis of these buddhair gunai atma gunai. So this is an interesting point, that how this separation happens. It is, for example, you take out the cake from the oven. Now it is one piece, but then you look at how many people are that cake is to be served to. If you see, it happens here. Sometimes there are 20 people, sometimes there are 50 people. So the one who is going to serve cuts accordingly, takes a knife and then makes cuts. So by making these cuts according to the need and according to how it can be cut, so the one cake now becomes many. So here also it is one. But then our understanding and our different capabilities, they make the differences. The same cake is cut, now it being a very big cake, it is cut into infinitely many pieces. How many pieces the cake has? How many pieces the cake has? This question is not a relevant question. How many pieces you want to make? That many pieces it has. So how many beings are in this world? As many as you can count, or as many as you want, that many beings. There is no actually meaning to this word, how many. It is not possible at all. You can count how many human beings are at a particular time on this earth. But that doesn't mean that you have counted all beings. It is because, see, in a human being as well, there are so many, how many? A trillion cells. More than that. So many trillion cells there. Each is a being. Each of them has a being. It is, we think it is tiny, but a human being is tiny compared to the being, say, a galaxy, which is of the dimensions of, say, millions of light years. So big. So compared to that, human being is a very tiny being. So it is tiny being, big being. It is how many? If you want to see it all as one, you say the creation. And then by that, this creation, everything becomes one. But if you want to divide, how many do you want? So it goes on getting divided accordingly. So this is how the divisions happen here, and there is no end to it. How many? You go on dividing and you get to a particle called atom. But then that's not enough. You break the atom and find out the more fundamental particles. And then this process goes on. There is no end to it. It is, if you find a knife sharp enough to cut an electron, then you can have even an electron cut. It is, see, it sounds ridiculous. It is just because we do not have a knife sharp enough. It is like that. So it becomes multiple, one and many. So it is like that. Now the next verse is of the same meaning really. बालाग्र शतभागस्य शतधा कल्पितस्य च भागो जीवस्य विज्ञेयः स अनन्त्याय कल्पते. That it is know the embodied soul to be a part of the 100th part of the point of a hair, divided 100 times, yet it is infinite. This is just to give a measure. It is the smallest thing. In another Upanishad, like that Kathopanishad, it says, Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan atmasya jantor nihito guhayam, that it is smaller than the atom and bigger than any biggest object that you can imagine. It is all that. So it is so small, tiny, and yet that very thing is infinitely big. So it is, and yet it is infinite. It is tiny, so tiny, there is no measure for that, and still it is infinite. There is no further count to that. So, now in the next verse, which describes that while you are making the divisions, that has not changed at all. It has remained just the same. You are, according to your understanding and capability. The two things are there. We saw understanding and capability. According to your understanding and capability, you are able to make the divisions. It is that in long back, it is in our headquarters, that Belur Mutt. Those days, the financial situation there was very bad. So for breakfast, everybody would be given a slice of bread. And then that slice of bread, only one Swami who had the skill to cut it really paper thin. It is. So, it is now the capability, how fine can you do it, you see. It is. So, they had to wait for that Swami to come. Okay. So, when I used to be in training center, then a very old Swami, he used to describe it with fun, that how, and that too, that thin slice also, you would get only if you show up on time. Otherwise, that is also gone. So, it is. So, the capacity, your understanding. Yes, there is this loaf, about 100 people have to be given this slice. So, okay, the knife also should be sharp enough to make those 100 cuts. So, so it is, and then that is given. So, here also it is, and the bread in this whole cutting process, the bread remains bread. It has not changed. So similarly, in this whole process, the one has not changed. It has remained one. You are making cuts according to your understanding, your needs, your capability. So this is how we become many like this as the understanding develops. What happens? Development of understanding means we go on making many more cuts and we become sharper. So, like in my childhood, there used to be just one doctor for everything. Whatever a problem you have, there is no specialization in that. It is so doctor would do everything, whatever happens. Now there is specialization for everything. That there is this orthopedics, and then there is further specialization in orthopedics. whether that it is the lower limbs or the higher upper limbs. And there were two doctors. One, I was surprised, one for the right hand and another for the left hand. Can you imagine? It is already, it is not exaggeration. It is so, it is like that so much of separation. What? Why? Because it has increased, the capability. I was afraid. I am having a sciatica pain for some time, so the doctor had told, okay, go for physical therapy. So I called today that when can I get an appointment to a physical therapy, and they were asking 100 questions, that okay, is it sciatica? Okay, which leg? Left leg or left side or right side? So I thought must be two different therapists probably for because they have to send me to the proper specialist. So one for the left leg, another for the right leg. So who knows, So it is, our knowledge is, all knowledge is classification. As we know more, we divide things into more classes. It is so, and thus we see it all varied differences. It is, somebody was asking, this plant is like this, that plant. Do you know how this? I with folded hands, I said, I just know this much difference, that this is called leaf, this is called flower, and then this is called fruit. But the further divisions I do not know. So, but because that person had studied all these things, he could tell this is this variety, this is this variety. So, our knowledge, as it grows, more varieties get formed, and according to that variety, each variety has its own very specific function. It is only that person is capable of dealing with and understanding that. So, naiva stri na puman esha na chaivayam napunsakah yasmad yadyat shariramaadatte tena tena sayujyate. So, it is said, well, just as, think of, it is neither female, naiva stri, nor neither female nor male, nor the third gender, nothing. It is none of these. But whatever form you put it in it, it assumes that form. So, like water, water has no shape, but whatever pot you put the water in, that water assumes that shape. So, similarly, that very one reality, these are kind of forms. You put it in that, now that appears according to that form, that here the God. Here now we can call it God, the all-pervading reality, one without second, the Brahman, that is the controller. We have been seeing that description earlier, how that is the sole controller of the whole universe, and that control is by being, inside it. It controls it from inside. It is like a DNA of a person. This is just an example. This is the God's control is even more than that of DNA. It is DNA. It controls the growth pattern. How? Not by external dictation, but by internally programming. It is inside. You can't help it. Why this person is growing like this? Well, that's that person's DNA. It is like that. So, it is similarly, this control is from inside. So nobody can transcend that control, go beyond that control. So therefore, it is whatever body it assumes, that shape. So it is like that everywhere. So just as you have the water in different shapes, here is the water in a drop. Here is a water in a cup. Here is a water in a big jar. Here is the water in the clouds. Here is the water in the oceans. So this water, according to the shape of the receptacle, has taken so many forms. But it is water. So, and that is what is important. The shape is not important. It is like if say our Muni Krishna is thirsty and say, water, please can you give me water? Then if whether I give it in the cup or in a glass or whatever, he doesn't look at the shape. He drinks the shapeless water. It is the water has no shape. It is, and that is what is important. So similarly, irrespective of say our weight, our height, our other features like intellectual capability and such things. So all these things, one can be a musician, one can be a visual artist, one can be a very good, sprinter, athlete. One can be a very good, say, football player. All these are there. One can be a wonderful scientist or administrator. But these are the different shapes. Different shapes with different qualities. The God, the indwelling reality, does not change by that. And the goal is to transcend the shapes and feel the inner reality. And that is what is important. The shape is kind of just package. That is not to be paid too much attention, because the package is just for the holding of it, that's all. When say you buy a box of cookies, what do you tell people? What did you buy? Naomi, what did you buy? Will you tell you bought a box or you bought cookies? Cookies, exactly. That is important, It is so similarly, each of us is actually divine God, packaged like this. And when our awareness shifts from the shape to the content, it is the awareness is to be shifted from that of the shape to that of the content. And now we become bliss itself. We have realized then the goal of life. So this is how we should look at how the variations happen, is just because of this. So one has to learn to go beyond all spiritual practice, the meditations that we do, the worship, the prayers, the studying in the classes like this. All is actually meant only with this single goal, that let us look inside the shape. So, and you will see the same thing is in all shapes. So you will lose the attachment to various shapes, forms and so forth. So therefore, it is a very important. Next verse is again emphasis on this, but looking at the process of formation. Many have this feeling, quite natural, that oh well, you are making things too simplistic. It is not so. One can bring this point. Look, everything there is such intricacy. How much now we know, and how much we can predict. It is not all same. For example, send now a rocket to repair a moving satellite somewhere, and then that is the space mechanic robot that is controlling, that goes there, repairs the malfunctioning satellite there, and that's it, comes back. So see how precisely things are getting done. And so it is all very different, distinct. There is a process involved in it. It is not just shapes. But look, each has a very specific functionality. It is just, do not denigrate it. Do not say that it is all nothing. The content is important, shapes are not important. But look how the contents, they are really not same. This person is capable of doing this, the other person is not. Over the thousands of years, how much we have developed in this, the humanity can do now so many things. It is so, you have to appreciate this. Well, it is a very strong argument actually. That it is not same. In fact, the sameness is delusional. The differences are real, and therefore there is that exactness. It goes exactly to that particular satellite to repair it, not something else. So exactly it is sent and just gets there while it is moving. See how much capability it is. Exactness is there. So it is, sometimes it fails, that it is said that a surgeon now was absent-minded, was probably thinking of a football game or whatever, and went to do the surgery, and then instead of the that bad kidney, removed the good kidney. See what a terrible thing. So it is, but that is a mistake, recognized as mistake, or not paying proper attention to the job. So, but that should not mean that there is no separation. Everything is so precise there. If everything is same, how could they lead to different results? So now this verse addresses that issue. It's a very important verse here from our standpoint, who are glued to the world, who think that this world is very, very real. These shapes, these names, forms, we get addicted to those, attached to those so much, like a leech. That is how Swami Vivekananda describes, that like a leech we get attached to the various names and forms. I don't know if anybody has seen that leech getting attached to you. Have you seen, Prishwanath? Anybody having experience of leech? Hey, Abhijit has, yes, he was describing. Leech, anybody else? You also have George, okay? Yeah, leech, you see. Ah, so it sticks there, and that if you try to pull it out, it breaks into pieces. It doesn't leave the skin. It just becomes long. It may be cut. That is how it doesn't leave it. So we also do not leave our realism of this world. I am this that is real, and this world that I see is real. And we do not want to get away from this erroneous awareness. We are caught in it. And what catches it most is this idea that look, it goes on like a well oiled, well programmed, efficient machine. So, therefore, it is all real. If the God, creator, is real, then God's creation also must be real. See, we are very intelligent and use our intelligence so well to shoot our own foot, you see. It is, we get more and more caught into this, thinking that it has to be real. Because see how these processes are there. You plant a seed, it grows into the same desired tree. And if it is same well, you grow the seed of an apple and reap oranges from the tree. That won't happen because there is a systematic process. So it is considering that all is same is not right. These are all different things, and God has made all these different things. So, and they are like that. There is God's involvement after that is finished. It is now this world is real, and we have to make this world good. It is some doctrines, some religious doctrines, they focus on this, that it is we have to fix this world. This God has given this world, but it is given a broken world. It has broken, and God has given us the job of fixing it. So we have to fix it, make it a good world. We do not see this truth, that this world is an appearance. It is coming and going. There is no substance to it. So this is Sankalpa Sparsha Drishtir Mohair Grasambu. What is it? Srishtyatma Vishuddhi Kalpaha Karmanugani Anukramena Dehi Sthane Shurip Rupani Abhisampadhyate. It is Abhisampadhyate, means it gets incarnated like that. It becomes like that according to one's karma by means of desires, conduct, attachment and delusion. The embodied soul assumes successively diverse forms in various places according to its deeds, just as the body grows when food, drink are poured into it. It is all what is this growth? Food. What is this phone ringing? It is so. It is like that when you feed a person, that person grows. A child give food, water. Now that food, water gets assimilated, becomes now for the growth. A person grows. What is it? Our bodies are just food processed. It is the processed food. Why, Charlie, you don't agree with it? You agree, okay. It is the food processed. And similarly, according to the food it grows, so also. And this is the food of the mind or the inner being, the what is called the jiva, the embodied being. Now this embodied being also grows, appears to grow in a very characteristic way according to that person's desires. And then the work done through those desires. The desires propel you to do work, and therefore you see people taking up different works and different endeavors according to their interests, according to their desires. So, as per their desires, they do work, and this becomes the food for their soul, the karma as it gets called. That, and according to that karma that you acquire, and you get birth into different types of bodies according to fulfill those desires. You get to take birth into different places and different bodies and so forth. That is the idea, that if you have the desire for something, you go to attain that desire. Now if you find that in this particular place you cannot fulfill it, then you go to another place to fulfill it. It is, if I want to buy something, then if I don't get in this shop, what do you do, Vishwanath? You go to the other shop. So wherever you can buy it, you go from here to there. So we have so many desires, and then according to those desires we go to various bodies to fulfill those. It is not just a fantastic idea, friends. This is how we go into different types of bodies. For example, if a human being has a desire to eat a lot, this is a very nice example that you can see. Now human body cannot be, you can't eat really a lot. You develop some stomach upset, there are so many allergies, and after eating a little bit, you feel I am full, I am good. It is people, when they come here, I say, would you like to have this thing? Say, well, I am good, thank you, but I am good. Because human body cannot take that much. But then if the desire is there, that I would eat a lot, then you take another body, say for example body of a pig. A pig can eat a lot. So therefore to eat a lot, and you don't see any pig getting a stomach upset, you see. No allergies, no such problems. Doesn't have to go to only the Whole Foods to get the organic stuff. The pig is capable of eating anything. So if you want to, your life is in eating, then human body is not at all a suitable place. In human body you don't get that. So okay, that doesn't mean that I will not get it. I will take a pig's body according to, that it is just as the food and drink you pour in a body, it grows. It is, you can see that a plant also give the water, the soil, the other nutrients if needed, and then the plant grows. So similarly, this jiva, the embodied being, grows through various karmas, various actions, and according to those actions, then takes to various different bodies, different births. So therefore, one should control the desires so that we don't have to again get dragged into such different bodies where there will be no scope for spiritual practice. So therefore it is important how this idea of variety becomes concretized because of the various functions that are characteristic only of that variety. It is characteristic of, say, mosquito. Is to sting and suck blood. It is the characteristic. So it is, therefore, it is not with others. Others have different characteristics. So every being has its own characteristic. Accordingly, that being functions, and thus we see that this whole thing appears to be very orderly, a cosmos, not a chaos. So in this cosmos, thus things happen in this way, but we should see that still the reality does not get changed at all. It still remains the same. You make from the same china so many different pots, different things, and then they have therefore different functions. You have, say, a particular that feeding cup, so it has that particular function. If you have a bowl, now it is not that for having coffee, you don't use a big bowl, you use the same china, but you use something that is smaller and has a proper shape. It is like that. All made a flower vase made of china. Same, that china does not get changed. Same, but then it has a different function. It is used for that function. And as soon as that is gone, that is broken, then now it is no more that china of all different broken pots, and they are same. It is not necessarily that it is the china of that flower vase has to be used for a flower vase. It can be used for something else. It can be used for making a tile and whatever. So similarly, it is these shapes and the apparent functionalities. It is only product of various desires and the actions that we perform based on those desires. Apart from that, there is nothing else to them. So we shall continue this study next Friday. It is the further study is to, as this has been, to do the meditation on the truth, that the inside reality in all of these. So we shall take up that in our next class. Any questions about today's discussion? Okay, please.
When I see people, I'm aware of their body, I'm aware of their words, I see their limitations and their egos. I don't, intellectually I know that everything is divine, but I don't experience it.
And that is the region of spiritual practice, that the attention has to be shifted, attention has to be changed from outer to inner. So transcending the names and forms, therefore that is the spiritual practice. That you don't see, we don't see, I don't see. Here is an important point though. When we are dealing with somebody, only say on this plane of multiplicity, and then we should not ignore the names and forms. Although we should be aware of the content, we should not be oblivious of the name and form. It is that variety should be respected there. It is like whether it is stone or bread, both have the same God. Does not mean that Charlie is going to eat stone. It is there, you have to respect it. But you have to be aware also, it is God in the form of stone. It is the same God in the form of bread. So, the external functionalities, they have their field of operation. But that does not change the inner substance. So both together makes for the truth. The spiritual practice is because we are addicted only to the externals. The spiritual practice means to transcend external and see the internal. Yes, Shrikant? Yeah, this is. Yeah, exactly. That is what is I was discussing. That it gives an impression of a law, and so it gives the sense of reality, that it is real, but that there is no law as such. It is just apparent. That law also is only on that level, not beyond that. So it is for the sake of convenience we have laws. Like here it is in United States and many countries, the law is to drive by the right hand side of the road. Go by the right side. It is in some other places, in some other countries, it is you go by the left side. Naomi was telling the other day that when it is a bridge, then she would not go by right hand driving on the right side. She would be too scared. So, in spite of it, the rule, she would be driving right in the middle of the road. So, it is. Now, therefore, you see that what I mean by that example, sorry, Naomi, it is the idea is that these laws also they break, and therefore we say that this is an exception, and thus the law gets changed. And this is, you see, that exception. Every law therefore has an exception. It does not work here. So, they are laws, but they operate only within certain realm. It does not go beyond that. The biggest law is what is mentioned here, the law of karma, cause and effect. But it is a tautology. Do you understand this term tautology? Huh? Tautology means it is just restatement of the same thing. It is. So, how do you know somebody has this karma? Because of that, since this is the result, there must be this karma. So it is reverse. So from the effect you think that this must be the karma, and therefore from that karma again you try to deduce the idea that there would be the same result. But if it doesn't show, then you say that, well, there must be some other reason that I am not seeing. It is very tricky. So the laws, they have their own domain. They get shrunk, they get expanded. So in a particular this rule, that law, a domain, it works, not beyond that. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. In this coming Sunday, we have a special lecture by Prashant Tapal on human mind. Human mind, it is an interface between inner and outer world. So Sunday the 13th of October, 5 to 6 p.m. So please try to attend this important lecture. And there is then the spiritual retreat on 19th, Saturday the 19th. And it would be good if you join that retreat. It's a day-long thing on Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter. So tomorrow is the last day that you can register and get $10 concession. So try to register by tomorrow. We shall conclude with the closing prayers. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.